Right, it is a beautifully sunny Sunday morning, late March. Thought we'd have a look at some of the shrubs and evergreens along the shade border, which, because it's early in the morning, is not in shade. It does get early morning sun. So we'll have a look at some of the plants, maybe the Fatsias and other bits, and see how they're looking after winter, just now starting to come into growth. But before we get into that, let's have a look at the gunner, because I've only just sort of cleared the leaves off, so it's probably not as far advanced as some people's, because it's in full shade at the moment. Sun doesn't hit this for another few weeks. Still a bit of a low angle, but it is sprawling. So from one division about 5 years ago, we've got a really big growing point here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 7 growing points, and this big one here I'm debating whether to take out, because that's when the leaves get big, that sort of damages the tree fern fronds there. So I may have to take the big one out and just keep it sort of tucked to the fence. Right, so let's have a look at some of the evergreen shrubs. So I will haze over the palms, because I've already done a video on that. So that is a week or two ago, tender palms. So you can look back at that if you haven't seen it. Right, so we can see I have got a couple of fruit trees here. Not very tropical, I know, but they were planted before I got into the tropicals, and they were just sort of trained against the fence here. So we've got a plum tree and a couple of apple trees starting to bud out. Right, obviously a Cuba japonica there, quite a nice balance of speckles to green leaves. I don't like them too speckly. I do like a dark green leaf with just a few sort of speckles, a few blotches. That's quite nice. That's a sort of good balance of that one. Right, so we're hitting the Fatsias. This is the first of many. This is the spider's web. You can see we've got some leaves pretty much untouched, and some that have got some brown. A lot of the time with Fatsias, it depends how the leaf sits. If it's sort of a flat plane, then the frost is going to come down and land on that and damage it more than if it's sort of upright, where the frost will pass by it, or it's sort of slightly cupped and you've got a little pool of water maybe in there, and it freezes. Obviously it's going to damage the leaf, probably kill it. But yeah, so in general it's looking quite good. You do get a lot of variation with the spider's web. We've got some leaves there which are pretty much all green, some that are very much more white and just a little bit of green, and everything in between. So you do get a lot of variation. When they do first flush, they do tend to be very white, then the green will come in afterwards. Right, so we've got a couple of rhododendrons here, again starting to bud. This one is quite nice because the variegation on it is nice, and then we've got more of a sort of a red stem on that, so it's quite interesting. And we've got the other rhododendron here, which is the wine and roses, so it's got the really red undersides to the leaves, and that's a really good flower, that one. Right, you may be able to hear that it is actually quite windy today, but looking in the garden it's not too bad, because the wind's coming from the west and we've got a lot of trees, even though they're not in leaf, There's a lot of trees at the back which do tend to give us a good shelter from the wind. It definitely diffuses it. Right, so hellebore here, which is in flower, pushing out a lot of new growth as well. Quite nice. Right, so the Fatsia here, we're looking at the variegated Fatsia. So again, because this one is in quite a lot of light, there's not a lot of variegation on it, so I do tend to find the more shade they're in, the better the variegation. But yeah, this is got a big flush about to happen. But yeah, very little damage on this one, other than this leaf here, which is, as we can see, was cupped, and exactly what I was saying earlier about water sitting in the leaf and damaging it. So we've got sort of a brown leaf there, where it's just held the water and frozen and basically killed that part of the leaf. But other than that, no damage on it, so they are tough plants, Fatsias. So underneath this, we've got the Cordyline indivisa, which has been a really slow one for me. I know a lot of people struggle with these. I mean, I've had it for a few years, and when I say a few years, it must be about 5 or 6 years. And it's not the case they're not hardy, because they are pretty hardy, but it's getting that location right. And this is a morning sun, midday, afternoon shade situation, and they do like it moist. So it's getting that balance right. Yeah, it's not looking too special at the moment, but we can get in here and see we have got sort of leaf damage. I think it's more of insects sort of attacking it, but a lot of people have falsely sold these indivisas, but you're looking for that orange streak down the centre. If it hasn't got a orange strip, then it's not a indivisa. Right, so this is a Butia odorata. This was tied up all winter, and just a fleece bag chucked over it on the couple of cold periods we had, but other than that, just tied up all winter, and absolutely no damage at all. Looking really good. Since I've untied it, this centre frond has started to open up. When I say centre frond, there's actually 2 there, and I've got another spear here, so it's actually opening up or pushing out free. So as soon as that starts warming up properly, we'll see some good growth on that. Right, so we've got a standard Fatsia here. So again, looking at it, I can see no damage whatsoever from winter, which is good. We've got the growing point, which is now split into 2, and the leaves are now starting to open up on that. So that's probably in more shade there, just due to the Butia in front of it, which is sort of shading to the morning sun, and obviously this border gets shade in the afternoon anyway, so that is getting a lot more shade, that one, and looking quite nice for it. It's looking really glossy dark leaf. Pseudopanics mower's toes. So again, this is a fairly new plant, so I bought it last year. I'm pretty sure it's about 2.5 foot, maybe pushing 3 foot when I bought it, and I'd say since that was planted last year, it's put on at least 1 foot of growth. So it's, yeah, about 4 foot now, and no damage from winter. The only thing that has damaged it is, if you've watched the previous videos, I did have just a cover over these 2 palms here, which sort of stopped just where the mower's toes was coming out, so the wind was sort of knocking it against the cover of that. So so we might have a couple of leaves broke off where as this sort of wind was knocking it, but apart from that, no actual cold damage, I'd say. Still looking really good. As we have got the Fatsia spider's web here, and really nice looking plant with the darker lighter green, the sort of free tone of green, but I found this one to be really slow for me. So I've had that at least 4 years and not really put on a lot of growth, and it did take a bit of damage the first couple of winters. Obviously this winter's been fairly mild, so yeah, it is what it is there. I mean, it is, we can see from a previous winter where it's actually, the top has died off there and it's branched out, so we've actually got 3 growing points coming off around that. But yeah, no damage from this winter, I'd say. So when I said earlier about the Acuba japonica, so this one is a bit more blotchy, a bit lighter, to the point where a couple of leaves are almost white, and yeah, I'm not keen on this one at all. When I bought it, the leaves are more sort of consistently, and I get it in the right light. They weren't as mottled as this. There's a lot more green on it, and now I don't like the look of that one, so I may pull that out. Whereas we've got another one in the corner here which is a lot less spectacly, and I quite like that one. Right, we have got a small tree fern here, and I know the light is quite harsh, but let's get in here. So this is one that's had no protection whatsoever. It's actually one I bought a few years ago as sort of a non-trunk, if you like, but it has got 3 heads on it, and that will flush out quite nicely when the time comes. So we've got a golden bamboo here, which has got the green streaks in the corms, but that is in a pot, so it's contained in a pot. The pot is the bottom cut out and sunken down. The pot sort of gets disguised once all the foliage kick in for the summer, so you won't see the pot. And that's just something that I had at the other side of the garden, sort of hidden behind more bamboo. You couldn't really see it. So this is now giving me some much needed height in this area. Right, so we've got the Schefflera Taiwaniana. No real damage from winter. We've got a couple of damaged leaves, but again, that's looking a lot more like insect damage than cold damage. So that's looking good, and we can see a new flush ready to come on that as well. And we've also got some growth around the base as well, so that will be multi-stemmed at some point. We've got the Fatsia polycarpa there. Again, been quite a slow one for me, but it's doing okay. I think again, when it's quite small, it does tend to take damage in the winter, but now it's in a few winters, there's no real damage I can see on that. And also it's got a little bit of a canopy overhead with the Trachycarpus there, so that's helped. So we've got the Viburnum here, which is flowering. Always good for the early pollinators. I'll grow this one for not for the flowers, for the leaves, just the evergreen. glossy pleated leaves. I quite like that. And we've got some more hellebore here, which flowering and flushing new growth. Of course, we've got that nice contrasting Cordyline there, which just really pops out with the rest of the greenery, and you've got that wide glossy leaves of the superstar Cordyline there. Yeah, definitely one I wouldn't be without. Definitely one of my favourites. Again, this was tied up, but you can see a couple of tips have got some damage on it, but in general, where it's been tied up, the centre is all good and really starting to push out some growth. So we're all good there. Right, so all hardy stuff here. So we've got some Trachycarpus and the Cordylines, little waggy, and we've got a lot of Camrops humilis here. So when I say a lot, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, pretty much all in a row there. All absolutely fine, no damage. We've got the Mahonia soft caress there. Looking good, looking very sort of palm-like. Kind of goes without saying that the big Cordylines have flown through winter with no problem. Sometimes you get your head die off, but it's been too mild for that. So it's even holding on to a couple of seeds, which I'm sure will drop and self-seed everywhere as usual. So again, this one here, this Cordyline, is self-seeded from the big plant. We've got a smaller one here, self-seeded, and we've got one there, self-seeded. So I do tend to pull them out, but the occasional one I leave. And look at the tree fern here. I have got, as usual, a few Cordylines managed to self-seed in the top of that as well. So I'll have to pluck them out because they'll be taking valuable energy away from the crown. Right, so we come at the back here. So another Fatsia. Again, this one is variegated. Quite nice big leaves on this one. Again, quite a bit of shade, and we can see nice flush ready to come out, dappled shade. And then we've got the big leaf rhododendron here, Swilliensis. I don't know how to pronounce it, so that is, I just call it big leaf rhododendron, but that is looking really good after winter. No problems, really big leaves on that. I mean, they vary from about 1 foot to 1.5 foot to this particular one is closer to 2 foot. So that's done really well. Only planted last year. Right. So this is still an area which I'm tidying up, but this is one I ain't talked about. So this is the other Pseudopanax. This is one of the Pseudopanax ferox, is it? One of the ones that just look like a stick. And we can see even that is starting to get some new growth on the top of that. Right, so we've got a couple of new plantings down here. So we've got another Acuba japonica and the camellias which went in, which have got some quite nice flowers on them now. And for such a small plant, the flowers are quite big and impressive. Yeah, quite nice them. So hopefully in a few years' time that will bulk up and give us a nice spring display, along with the other one here, which is more of a a red, I don't know if you can see that, but sort of smaller red flowers on that one, where this one's sort of pink and yellow flowers. Little red robin, looks like it's had some insect damage. And we've got another small spider's web here, which again we can see the variability in the leaves. This one also just like your standard sort of variegated rather than spider's web, but you know they do vary a lot. Yeah, that's what I'm saying about nearly white leaves. But yeah, that's got a nice new little flush coming on that as well. So right in the corner here we've got a fuchsia, hardy fuchsia. We've got some bamboo in a raised planter to stop it from spreading, and we've got a big acer in this corner which is now starting to bud out. So that sort of finishes the look of the shade border. But as we have been looking at the Fatsias, different types of Fatsias, we'll continue into the shade corner here, because we've got a few more Fatsias here. And probably my best example of a variegated is this one here, and again this one is fairly newly planted from a small plant last year, and it's just absolutely rocketed away. I don't know why, but I really liked it in that corner, and just really exploded in growth and got some quite nice big leaves on there. And I did plant a polycarpa in this corner as well, but unfortunately insects have really taken a liking to that and just absolutely decimated it. So we'll see if that comes back. There's a couple of leaves on it, but I don't know. I don't really normally have issues with insects with the Fatsias, but that one has not done well. And again we've got a new flush of growth on this Fats hedra or Fats hedra, ivy cross with Fatsia, and that's again sort of the camouflage form, and really like the leaves on that. Right, I think so that'll kind of cover it for the Fatsias and evergreens. So I think what we'll do is we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.